Alright guys, welcome back to the Tech Tutor. In today's video, we're going to be finishing up our sketch of our ER model diagram. So we do have our some of our cardinalities that we need to get done with and our min-maxes. Okay, so you'll see if you're still confused about the min-max and cardinality, let me know definitely in the comment section below. We could definitely go over them. Uh, but let's see. Okay, so we got it in. It looks like we have a min-max for both of these, and then we have a cardinality also. We have cardinality without connecting both these entities, and we have min-maxes also. So let me explain why it's 0 to n and 0 to n over here. So a case, right? When I'm entering a case record, right? How many times does it has to be involved in a person? So I'm entering a case in a database, right? I could enter a case in a database and it does not have to involve a person. Okay, I'm just entering it, but I don't know which exact person is linked to it. So I'm saying 0. Okay, and I'm giving the maximum n. Okay, and it could be linked to an n number of people. Now, going the other way around, when I enter a person record in the database, does it have to be linked to a case? No. I'm saying no. I'm saying that a person may not be linked to a case yet, right? But I'm gonna put them in my database for now. Okay, so that's why I'm putting 0 to n over there. Now, coming to the cardinality, right? Why do I have an, this is called if we do it like a ratio, n to m. Remember, n to m is a cardinality, 1 to n to 1, right? Right, and n to n. These are some examples of some cardinalities. Okay. Again, when we talk about cardinality, it's one person ID. Think about one person ID can be involved in how many cases, right? A person could be involved in multiple cases, right? He could be a suspect in one case. He could be a witness in another case, right? Highly unlikely, right? He can being a suspect and a witness. But he could be and it would be unlikely, right? Also, but it's still possible. It could be unlikely he's a suspect and a missing person also. I mean, he's a missing person and a witness also, right? But still, we make sure we have that information. Okay. Next, again, it looks like we've done with our cardinalities. Let's do our assumptions. Let's make a table for our assumptions, right? Let's make it's kind of large. Oh, medium, we'll make it large. Okay, so assumptions. Okay, assumptions. I'm gonna show this a bit more clear in my diagram. Uh, okay, assumptions. What assumptions are we making? So we gotta make assumptions for a couple of things, some required things. So first about my weak entity, right? So I'm saying that evidence is not entered in the database unless it is associated with a case, right? Remember, that's what we decided, because that's why that's going to be a weak entity. A case may not be involved in it may not have involved anyone yet. Involved anyone yet, but it's okay to enter a case record in our database before they are involved. Okay, so these are some when you got to do a assumption for weak entities, min maxes. So we have all those min maxes we have, min maxes, and cardinalities, foreign primary keys, and also let's see, what are we missing? We got to also do it for foreign primary and derived attributes. Okay, so that kind of is the list. So I'm just gonna show you examples. So this is for our case min, which is 0. A case something for our case max could be a case can we're gonna say our case can contain many pieces of evidence, right? we're talking about a person, right? So a case may have as many people involved in it, right? So the example I gave is for like many suspects, right? Many witnesses, right? That's why I put that. And okay, so this is an example of min-max. Now, what does assumption for cardinality look like, right? One case can have no persons, or it could have as many persons involved in it. Okay, and then the same way around. So one person, and similar way around. Okay, one person can be involved in as many cases that in many cases that have recorded that person, right? So that is an example of cardinality. Now coming to foreign key and primary keys. So we could do person. We could do case. We could probably do case, right? Case dot case ID that equal to person dot case ID. So this is what like this is a Boolean relationship to show our primary and foreign keys. Case dot case ID. So the case ID that is equal to the person dot case ID. Remember, for case ID is the foreign key in our person entity, and case and it is the primary key of our let me zoom in, of our case entity also. Okay, we gotta make sure we can map those two. Okay, next let me zoom in this if you cannot see this. I'm zooming in. So that is what that looks like. And to show an example of a derived attribute, right? What does a derived attribute assumption look like? Okay, remember what our two derived attributes were? Age and age bracket. Okay, as you can see, age and age bracket with those dashes. So age is a derived, we're going to say derived attribute of person. How does it calculate it? Calculated using birth date. Okay, and birth date. Okay, and how is that gonna look? And what is the formula? Right. So we're gonna say age equals. I'm gonna say floor because we don't have decimal birthdays, right? So whatever the current date is. So we're gonna get that from the system minus the birth date. Okay, and minus the birth date, and we're gonna divide that by 365. Okay, and that is going to give the age of the person. So these are some examples. I've not complete. This is not exhaustive of the list. So we got to do min maxes for all those. So we're going to have like 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 8 min maxes. Derived attributes. We also got to do the derived attribute for age bracket, foreign key, primary key. So there's going to be at least one primary key that maps to foreign key in this, primary key that maps to foreign key in this, or the other way around. Okay, so like primary key evidence ID, right? That's gonna map to the evidence ID in case. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna show the complete diagram in a bit, but this is something this is what your ER diagram is supposed to look like at the end, like this. Okay, so let's have a look at what this looks like, in using a drawing program like LibreOffice. LibreOffice is a drawing program that helps you, without having to draw this, right? Like put these structures, formally. So let's have a look. So this is what our ER model, Beautify looks like. I've added an extra, linked to, but this is not needed. This is optional. You don't need to link these two. So you don't need a relationship between the evidence and the person. Uh, in another case, I was thinking we could link these two, right? But it's not needed. It's not needed because we're covering what our database needs. As you can see, all those things that I'm collecting. The assumptions here, you can see these are a lot of assumptions, right? And some of these assumptions, it's because I've are more here. They're added here because now I have this extra relationship that I have to worry about. These min maxes and these two cardinalities between the person and evidence. So what I'm trying to say is this could be a bit less, these assumption blocks, if I didn't have these two relationships, these two, this line and this link to relationship between person and evidence, which you don't need in your diagram. As you can see, uh, multi-valued attributes, right? I have to put. I decided we're gonna do we're gonna have multi-valued attributes so we can correct this, right? And there's a few things that we could do to correct this ER model, but this is pretty much what your beautified ER model looks like. This is what you're gonna hand in to an engineer, a database developer, right? Database administrator, and give him this, and he's gonna create your database for you. This is what another engineer, database developer would look like, would want to see, right? And this is what's gonna help. Okay, so I hope this exercise of creating a database ER model helped. If you have any questions, any comments, any feedback, please feel free to leave down in the comment section below. If you did like this exercise we went over in the last 3 parts, please like, share, and subscribe to the video. Thank you so much.